welcome you to this first ever WASP webinar. So we'll see how it works out, if there are any technical problems or so. So this is about the upcoming WASP AS Industrial PhD Student Call. The program is that I will give approximately 45 minutes presentation, and then there will be questions and answers. So if you have questions, you should wait with posing the question. What you should do is that you should announce that you have a question by typing a chat message, where you simply say, I have a question. And then after the presentation, we will take all the questions in the order from the chat. And also please mute your microphones and turn off your cameras. Maybe you can have your cameras on, I don't know. And then the slides, most of you should already have received the slides. They are up on the WASP homepage, and a recording of this webinar will also be made available on the homepage shortly. I guess shortly means Monday, actually. Okay, so in my presentation, I'll first give a general overview of WASP, and then I will present the current call for industrial PhD students. The background behind WASP was that around 5-6 years ago, the Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation and the Wallenberg family realized that there was a lot of things happening related to autonomous systems, self-driving cars, AI, machine learning, Go, things like that, AlphaZero, drones, and so on. And they felt that Sweden was running a risk of lagging behind. So they felt that a strategic initiative was needed in order to increase the competence level, both in Swedish universities and in Swedish industry. And that was the reason why WASP was created. WASP stands for Wallenberg AI Autonomous Systems and Software Program. It is the largest individual research program in Sweden ever, with a total budget of more than 3.5 billion Swedish kronor for 11 years. Funded by Knut and Alice Wallenberg Foundation, most of it, but some of it from the universities and some of it from industry. The vision is excellent research and competence in AI, autonomous systems and software for the benefit of Swedish industry. And by industry, we also include things like financial industry, pharmaceutical, media, and so on. It can be essentially any company. And the mission is to build a world-leading platform for academic research that interacts with leading companies in Sweden to develop knowledge and competence for the future. WASP has a board. The chair is Mille Milnert. He is former rector at Linköping University and also former Director General of the Swedish Research Council. We have Sara Maso as Vice Chair. She used to be at Ericsson Research. Then we have one representative from ABB, one from Saab, one from the SEB Bank, and then we have 5 university representatives: Anders Palmqvist from Chalmers, Viktor Övall from Lund, Sara Sjöstedt Elina from Umeå, Ulf Nilsson Linköping, and Annika Stenson Trigell from KTH. So that is the board. WASP has defined itself in terms of 5 different instruments. First instrument is a research program with the best researchers in the field. The second is recruitment of both leading and young researchers. So far we have recruited 9 professors, but there will be more than 50 in total here. The graduate school in close interaction with Swedish industry, where there will be hopefully at least 350 PhD produced, with at least 100 of them being industrial PhDs. Then we have our arenas for research and demonstration in collaboration with industry. I will come back to them. And we have an internationalization program with agreements for student exchange with Stanford, Berkeley, and Nanyang Technical University. The structure of the research program, WASP, when we mean autonomous systems, we don't only mean physical artifacts like cars or drones or robots or something like that. We also mean autonomous systems or systems of systems, and software as an enabling technology. So essentially all the techniques and applications that you read about in the news currently, they are part of WASP, one can say. So networked society, everything interconnected, cloud as a backbone, new types of cloud, software to support all this. Organizationally, WASP consists of two parts. The entire WASP is led by Lars Nielsen from Linköping. He's the program director. Then we have WASP AS, which is the autonomous systems and software part of WASP, where I am chairing the program management group. And then we have the AI part of WASP, WASP AI, which internally consists of two parts. The part that is called MLX, which stands for machine learning, deep learning, and explainable AI. And then we have the math part that stands for mathematical foundations of AI. And these are led by Danica Kragic and Johan Höstad. Participating universities are 5 member universities: Lund, Chalmers, Linköping, KTH, and Umeå. But within WASP AI, 2 universities are partly allowed to participate. And that is the AI group at Örebro University and the math department at Uppsala University. And then in addition to that, the machine learning group at Uppsala, led by Thomas Schön, is also allowed to participate. So this industrial PhD student call is from WASP AS. So WASP AS is the original WASP when WASP only meant autonomous systems and software. So the focus is autonomous systems, including the enabling technologies for this. And one important enabling technology is software, where we both look upon software for development of autonomous systems, but also the use of AI and automation in software development. And then AI and machine learning, that's perfectly okay, but only as enabling technologies for some sort of an autonomous systems. So this is not the WASP AI call where you can do theoretical research on machine learning, for instance. They have their own calls, and the next call for that is in 1 year from now, approximately. So WASP AS is led by the program management group, myself from Lund, Ivica from Chalmers, Bo Wahlberg from KTH, and Anders Uneman from Linköping. So these are the contact persons. If you are interested in PhD, industrial PhD projects with these 4 universities, you should contact these persons. For Umeå, we have Erik Elmroth at Computer Science, who plays the same role in this context. In order to see what type of work that is being done in WASP AS, the best is to see how it's internally structured. And WASP is internally structured in clusters. We have one cluster on software engineering, led by Jan Boch, Chalmers. We have one on autonomous clouds, data centers and networks, led by Erik Elmroth, Umeå. We have one on interaction and communication with sensor-rich autonomous agents, led by Jonas Unger, Linköping. One on perception and learning in interactive autonomous systems, led by Kalle Öström from Lund. We have one on smart localization systems, led by Fredrik Gustafsson, Linköping. We have large-scale optimization and control, led by Mikael Johansson, KTH. We have automated transport systems, led by Bo Wahlberg, KTH. We have security for autonomous systems, led by Sonja Bushego, KTH. We have software technology for autonomous systems, led by Martin Montperus from KTH. And then we have AI and machine learning for autonomous systems, led by Helena Lindgren in Umeå. So this is how the research internally is divided inside the WASP AS part of WASP. Then we have the recruitment. So the plan is to recruit more than 50 new professors on different levels, some full professors, some assistant professors. In WASP AS, there are 18, and in WASP AI, there are 28. And then there are some additional so-called Wallenberg chairs in AI, which is very, so to say, full professors in AI. We have 8 recruitments in place, most of them in software technology, and the focus now is to strengthen the recruitments in AI and machine learning. Some of the persons that have been recruited: Benoit Baudry from KTH in software technology, Jeff Jan Linköping in cybersecurity, Martin Montparus, also KTH software technology, Christoph Reichenbach, software engineering, Lund, Kari Fremling, data science, Umeå, Carl-Johan Seger, computer science, focus on verification, Chalmers, and then Volker Kreuger, who is a professor in computer science, but he's very much focused on robotic systems in Lund. Then we have Virginia Dignum in Umeå, professor in AI with a special focus on social and ethical aspects of AI. And we have Christopher Sack at Chalmers, who is working on computer vision. So these are the recruitments so far. Then we have the graduate school, and this is where the industrial PhD students will take their courses. A PhD student education consists of 2 parts. One part is the research that then eventually, finally, is documented in the PhD thesis. And the other part is the courses. And typically, a student has to take around 90 credits of courses. And that corresponds to 1.5 years full-time studies. The majority of the courses are given by the local department or by the local university, but some of the courses are given by WASP, and they are what's part of WASP graduate school. And out of the total 90 credits that most students have to take, WASP typically gives around 25 to 27 credits. The graduate school is split up in 2 parts, the AS part and the AI part. So it has 2 tracks, but it's still the same graduate school. We have hired students quite a lot so far already. In the first batch of students, that was for WASP AS. Then we had 62 PhD students started 2016. Out of those, 23 were industrial PhD students. Then 2 years after, 2018, the second WASP AS batch started, 52 students, out of which 21 were industrial PhD students. Then this year, the first WASP AI batch starts, 62 students, out of which 14 were industrial PhD students. And then 2020, the third WASP AS batch starts. And this is why we have this call right now for up to 22 industrial PhD students. And there will come a call for university PhD students later this spring, and there will be a call for affiliated PhD students this fall. And they will start taking their courses in spring 2020. The industrial PhD students we have right now, they come from 27 different companies. Some companies have very large involvement, like Ericsson, Saab, 9 and 8, Zenuity 6, ABB 5, AstraZeneca 3. But there are also companies which only have a single PhD student. The courses in WASP AS are those that are listed on this slide. And these are the courses that the PhD students that we hire now have to take. There is one course, Autonomous Systems 1, which has 2 so-called modules, one on sensing and perception, one on control and decision making. And this is the course that is given in spring 2020. Then in fall 2020, we have Autonomous Systems 2, which is on learning and knowledge and interaction and collaboration. And then 2021, we will have the course on software engineering and cloud computing for those students that we hire now. For the batch 2, this course is running right now, this spring. Then we have a project course. So these are the courses that are mandatory. Then there are courses in WASP AI. There are actually 9 courses, out of which 5 are mandatory, 5 elective for the WASP AI students. But for the WASP AS students, all these courses are elective. So they are allowed to participate. They don't have to participate. So there are courses on deep learning, generative adversarial networks, graphical models, Bayesian, reinforcement learning, large-scale learning, and so on and so forth. The graduate school, in addition to the students learning new topics, a major focus is also the networking and interaction among the students. So they should really learn to know each other and build up a network which they can use also when they have graduated, when they go out in industry, go back to the companies and so on. Then they know quite a lot of people in Sweden. They know their colleagues, so to say, in a very good way. So this is something which we especially try to build up during summer schools, but also during international trips. So in this graduate school, there are every year an international trip where the batch travels. So for instance, for the first batch, the first year they went to 1 week to Zurich and Munich. In the second year, they went 1 week to California. And then in the third year, they got the responsibility to organize their travels themselves. And there were one group that traveled to Japan and so on. The second batch of WASP AS students, they went to Toulouse and Barcelona the first year, and they will most likely go to Singapore the second year, that is the coming fall. Okay, then we have the arenas. So the arenas, they are demonstrator facilities that are intended for the PhD students to demonstrate their research result in a context that is more industrially realistic than what is possible to build up within universities. So the first reason for this is to demonstrate research results, but the second is to generate new research questions, to inspire PhD students to solve new problems. So it has 2 parts, these VARA research arenas. The one that has gotten off best so far is the VARA PS, VARA Public Safety. It is run mostly by Saab, but also Axis and Ericsson participate. So this is currently about a search and rescue scenario, a naval search and rescue scenario where people are in some boat accident and end up in water, and then these people should be rescued using autonomous surface boats and drones that should collaborate and so on. The second VARA is the one that is called VARA CAT-DAT, VARA Collaborative Autonomous Transport / Data. And this is a VARA that is very much based upon Zenuity, Volvo, and Ericsson. And it's also based on a physical test scenario outside Gothenburg called Astacero. So there it is collaborative transport, self-driving cars, but also data collection and data annotation that is needed for this. How can we provide large-scale data repositories that the WASP students can make use of? There is currently also discussions about the VARA software, but that is still unclear whether that will happen or not. This is just some additional information about the VARA public safety. So the different elements that it includes. Command and control involving humans that should decide which actions that are needed partly by human decision making, partly by machine decision making. There is a delegation framework that decides who should do the different tasks. There is the unmanned vehicles, the airborne vehicles, there are the surface vehicles, sensors on these cameras. There is simultaneous tracking, classification, situation awareness, and so on. And then everything that is needed, so to say, the infrastructure for this, and access to Ericsson Research Data Center in Lund, where a lot of the processing and storage of data is being done. Yeah. Then finally, we have the internationalization. So we have memorandum of understandings with Stanford, Berkeley, and Singapore, NTU in Singapore. Last fall, I think it was 8 students that spent up to 6 months at Berkeley and Stanford. The coming year, there will be more students that go. With Nanyang, we have special postdoc project collaboration. So in addition to sending PhD students, we also have actual research projects together with Nanyang. These international relations are handled by something called the International Management and Affiliations Group. And that includes Anders Innerman, especially responsible for Nanyang, Fredrik Heinz, which is the graduate school director, Carl-Henrik Johansson, KTH, who is especially responsible for Berkeley contacts, and Bo Wahlberg, KTH, who is responsible for Stanford contacts. Then there is also money in WASP earmarked for building up computational infrastructure for machine learning in particular, 70 million. And the idea is that this will go to what's called SNIC, the Swedish National Infrastructure. Yeah, I never learned what that. Anders maybe can jump in and say what SNIC stands for. If he is awake. No, he's not awake. Okay, it doesn't matter. He is the chair for this group that has looked upon infrastructure and how to best make use of this money. Okay, that then leads us to the industrial PhD student call, the current call. So we are now offering up to 22 industrial PhD student position within WASP AS at the 5 partner universities, Chalmers, KTH, Linköping, Lund, and NMU. And in order to apply, there is an application form on the WASP Sweden pages, and we will go through that form. So what you do is that you submit the form together with CVs of the student, of the industrial supervisor, and of the university supervisor. And then a more detailed description of the project, although that is not formally needed. And this should be sent in at the latest on the 26th of April. So the timetable you see here, today we have the webinar. The 26th of April is the application deadline. Decisions will be taken the 23rd of May. The industrial PhD student can start their PhD studies at the earliest 1st of August and at the latest 1st of January 2020. So a PhD, this is in Swedish, by the way, and the reason for that is that WASP, after all, is a Swedish program, and this is more kind of legal text, so I didn't want to translate it into English, not into bad English anyway. So an industrial PhD, do a PhD while being employed at the company, and you have to do this at a level of at least 80%. So you have to spend your time doing research at least 80%. And time-wise, you have to spend at least 20% of your time at the company and 20% of your time at the university. And then, of course, everything in between is also possible. So you can spend 50-50 of your time, that's possible also. The industrial PhD student is expected to participate in the different events that WASP organize, seminars, study trips, courses, and so on. And then there should be an individual development plan at the company that defines things like what is the main contact person, who is the industrial advisor, who is the closest manager that the PhD student has. And then also what the role that this project has in the overall strategy for the company. And then money-wise, the company gets 600,000 per year from WASP in maximum 4 years if the student do the research at the level of 100%. And that is very rarely the case. In most cases, the student do the research at an 80% level, which means that it takes 5 years, and it means then that the company gets 80% of 600K per year during 5 years. So that means that the total amount that the company gets is 2.4 million Swedish kronors. And that can then be used to partly cover the salary for the student. It should also cover the travel costs for the PhD student. The PhD students need to travel to take courses, to present his or her research at conferences, to discuss with others and so on. And that is very important that the students are allowed to do that. So even if the company has a travel ban, these industrial PhD students should still be allowed to travel. And the travel budget is around 300,000 per year. And that can then accumulate if one don't use it fully for a year. Here is the application form. Project title, name of doctoral student. So you must have identified the doctoral student when you submit your application. Otherwise, the application will not be considered. Then, which university that the student should do his or her PhD studies at, and the name of the university supervisor, the name of the research group, a CV, including the course transcript for the PhD student, a short CV for the university supervisor, and then later down it says CV for the industrial supervisor also. The name of the company organization, name of closest manager, name of industrial supervisor, and how much time is allocated for the industrial supervision. Then the project start, the PhD studies in percentages of full time, is it 80 or 100? And what is the source of the industry financing, in addition to the money that comes from WASP? Then this page should be signed both by the university supervisor and by the industrial supervisor. So it's not enough that a company has identified a person. They must also have discussed this with a university research group and found a suitable supervisor. Then on page 2, the project summary, maximum 1 page, should include what are the main research questions, and it should have been iterated with all persons involved, including the university supervisor. And then optionally, one can attach a maximum 4-page extended project description, and that is normally a good thing to do. You can't really fit much content into this 1-page form. Then on page 3, one should describe how the project relates to autonomous systems and software. One should describe how the project relates to research facilities and arenas. Is it the ambition to participate in any of the WASP arenas, for instance? Or Does the company has in-house demonstration facilities that will be used? And then a little bit about the company strategy and how it looks upon industrial PhD student projects. Then there should be a competence knowledge exchange plan, and this has to do with how the competence and knowledge that the industrial PhD student builds up during 5 years, how that should disseminate it into the company. Meetings, presentations, and things like that. Next thing, if there is some collaboration or synergies with other industries. And if this industrial PhD student or the company can contribute to WASP in any other ways outside this particular project. And then finally, if it is a small or medium-sized enterprise, then it should describe how the financing over these 4 to 5 years is secured. So that is what you need to write, plus the CVs, plus the extended project description. And then comes some questions and answers that I guess that some of you might ask. So for instance, what types of industries may participate? And the answer to that is not only the traditional system industry, but also things like finance, media, consulting companies, medicine, e-health, whatever. But not research institutes. RISE, for instance. Not government agencies, they are not allowed. And that has to do with both the statutes of the foundation and with how the donation letter from the foundation to the WASP board is formulated. Third question that I can come up with is if it is possible to hire a newly examined student for an industrial PhD student project. Yes, it is possible. We have some of those, but in general, it is not recommended. The best thing is if the PhD has at least a couple of years experience with the company, so that he or she knows what are the research questions, what are the problems, and already know the company. If you hire a completely new guy, then this new guy, in addition to doing his PhD studies, he or she need to learn the company at the same time, and that can be quite difficult in practice. But it is possible. We don't forbid it. Next question, are AI or machine learning projects eligible in this call? Yes, they are, as long as the AI or machine learning part of the project is considered as an enabling technology for some autonomous systems. If you want to do fundamental theoretical research on machine learning and really don't care about the autonomous systems application, then you won't be ranked very high in the evaluation. But if you use some machine learning technique for implementing some autonomous system, then it is perfectly okay. Next question, is it possible to choose which graduate school track that the student should belong to? No, it's not. The students in this call, they will have to follow the WASP AS track of the graduate school. So that is these questions. If you have more questions, need more information, here again are the contact persons. KTH, Bo, Chalmers, Ivica, Linköping, Anders, Lund, myself, and Umeå, Erik Elmre.